Hello, Citygate Church. It's so good to see you here today. I want to welcome you. Thank you for being with us and welcome our Citygate online campus. We thank God for each and every one of you. I'm not with you in person today. I'm in Los Angeles preaching at the Angelus Temple for Pastors Matthew and Caroline Barnett, but I miss you. I'm so thankful for you because I take you with me wherever I go. I'm a representation of what God is doing in and through you. And I'm excited about what God is getting ready to do through us here at Citygate Church. These are exciting times. These are miracle moments. We as a church, we've just been through a great series on Exodus and had that incredible night where we prayed through the tabernacle, a time of consecration and fasting on the Day of Atonement. We are getting ready for what God has ready for us. See, the wilderness was God getting his people ready for the promised land that he already had waiting on them. And that's where I want to draw your attention to today was another miracle moment where people were about to cross over. God's people were about to cross over the Jordan River. They were about to experience a significant change. It's found in Joshua chapter 3. Beginning with verse 4, God gives them instructions. He said, as you go forward, let the Ark of the Covenant, it symbolized the presence of God. I want it to go before you. And I don't want you to get near it. I want you to be able to see it from a distance. And here's why. You need to know the way that you're supposed to go. For you have not passed this way before. Joshua goes on to tell the people in verse 5, consecrate yourselves. That's what we've just been doing. For tomorrow, the Lord will do wonders among you. I believe that's a word for Citygate Church. The question is, are we willing to embrace change? I've learned this about people. I've learned this about myself. We all like change until change affects us. I love change hitting everybody else. I'm not a big fan of when change comes to my own life or when I have to make a change. But here's what's certain. If you are in time, you are changing. The famous American singer-songwriter Bob Dylan, he wrote a song in 1963, recorded it in October of that year. The title was, The Times, They Are A-Changin'. Little did he know that in a few short weeks, John F. Kennedy, the president, would be assassinated. Just a few years after that, the Civil Rights Act of 1968 would be signed, and the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would be taken from an assassin's bullet. And later on, the brother of John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, his life would also be taken by a murderous act. It was one thing for sure, America was changing. The times, they were a-changing. I kind of feel like we're in another one of those moments in our country right now. A lot of us in our own lives, the times, they are a-changing. What we find ourselves in, the culture we find ourselves in, does not reflect what was going on even 5 years ago. What I have learned is that if you are in time, you are changing. There are bad changes, there are good changes. You may say, well, no, nothing is changing in my life. Well, look at your picture 5 years ago. Something's changing. You got a few more wrinkles than you had 5 years ago, a few more gray hairs than you had 5 years ago. Hopefully not, but maybe you've even put on a few pounds than you had 5 years ago. Look back at the changes in your family. And you may be saying, well, nothing has changed. But the truth is, if you are in time, everything is changing. So God says to Moses in one place, he said, I am the Lord, I change not. How does God avoid change? Because he's outside of time. Time changes everything. You may go home to the same house, but something on the inside is changing. You may go to work at the same job every day for 20 years, but something is changing. Maybe your circumstances aren't changing, or even your scenery is changing, but the truth is, you are changing. The question is, are you changing for the good? Are you changing for the worse? I want to talk to some people today who have made up their minds. I want the change. You know, when I was a teenager and I would ask my dad for some money so I could go out that night, he'd say, how much do you need? I'd say, oh, I don't know, $25. He'd give me 30. And then he'd be waiting for me when I got home and he would say, Eric, where's my change? He wanted his change back. But I feel like a lot of us out of fear today are looking at God saying, God, keep the change. I'm tired of change. I've tried change. Change didn't work out for me. Oh, but I want to preach to your faith. I want to preach to your hope. I want to preach to your future. That you would get that fire back in your spirit where you'd rise up and say, God, I want my change. Because here's what I've learned. There is no promotion without change. There aren't any new opportunities without change. You can't get a new house unless you change out from your old house. You can't get a new car unless you're willing to give up your old car. We must be the people who embrace change. I don't know about you, but I need a change. Maybe you're sitting there today saying, I want to change. I need a change. I need a change of scenery. I need a change of pace. I need a change in my life. But I'm so afraid of taking the step to change. I read this the other day. Change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. It's not the new opportunity you fear. It's change you fear. It's not the move that you fear. It's the change that comes with the move that you fear. The children of Israel are standing on the banks of the Jordan River about to cross over, and they are about to change. Everything in their life is about to change. Now, they could stay here, and they would think maybe things will just stay the same. They've been this way for 40 years, but the truth is, even though their scenery wasn't changing, they were changing. They were getting older. They died in the wilderness. Why did they die? Because they've been here before, but they didn't take advantage of their chance to change. Did you know every chance to change has a window? And you must be willing to step through that window, that moment, to embrace your chance to change. When God brings you a chance to change, if you tell him no now, you may not get another chance for another 40 years. I don't know how long between this chance and the next one. So I want to step into it, and I want to tell God, I want my change. They had to cross over the Jordan River. You know, the Jordan River, when we sing about it, when we preach about it, the Jordan speaks of death. And there are some things that need to die in your life as you cross over. There are some mentalities that need to be left on this side of the river. There are some doubts that need to be left on this side of the river. Some of y'all have some past, things in your past. You know what? You're crossing over. You're not going to be who you've always been. You're embracing your chance to change. You're telling God, I want my change. And the old you're leaving over here, and you are embracing the new. They were about to cross over. You've heard that phrase, to cross over, cross the line. I looked up the word cross used in that way. And you know what the word cross means? To move from one side to the other. But it was the second definition that caught me, to pass over mediocrity. You know what mediocrity is? The fear of change. No one wants to live their life and die mediocre. Everybody wants their life to count for something. Everybody wants to know that they lived to the fullest. Well, you are not going to live to the fullest if you keep running from change. So I want you to get the faith today to say it with me right now. God, I want my change back. God, I want my change back. I'm not running from it. I'm not backing up. I'm not going back to Egypt. I'm going into my promised land, and I'm embracing my change. Now, every time you get to this line, there are three things going to rise up to confront you, to push you back, to try to keep you in your wilderness and keep you moving in to your promised land. Here's the first one: real obstacles. You have some real obstacles in your life if you want to change. I know it's easy to preach it, It's another thing to do it. It's easy to clap and back the preacher and say, that's a good word right there. It's another thing to go out and do the word that he's preaching to you. Real obstacles. Some of you are facing things that are absolutely real. And you've got to make up your mind. Am I going back or am I going forward? You know, when you think of the Jordan River, it's kind of the middle. The wilderness is the middle between Egypt and the promised land. But here's what I've learned about the middle. If you're in the middle, you're as close to the finish line as you are to going back to where you started. So why don't you just get the faith today to push forward and go to your finish line, your promised land? Yeah, you're going to have to confront those real obstacles, but greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. Here's the second thing you're going to have to confront: other people. Not everybody wants you to win. Not everybody likes it when you change. There are two types of people. There are border bullies and there are border busters. Border bullies show up anytime you're about to step across mediocrity, anytime you're about to step into purpose, step into favor, step into new opportunities. These border bullies will show up and tell you every reason you can't because they didn't. Don't listen to the border bullies. Don't listen to the lies. Don't listen to the fears. Don't listen to the doubts they're trying to put in your spirit. You become a border buster. I'm not going to be backed up from this border by any bullies of doubt, any bullies of fear, any bullies of unbelief. No, I'm going forward because I'm a border buster. I'm going to bust through the impossible. I'm going to bust through the problem. I'm going to bust through the circumstance. You know what I am? I'm a breakthrough agent. I'm a person that's going to bust through, break through, and enter into everything God has for me. And here's the third thing you're going to have to confront, and I'll close with this. Final barrier to you crossing your line. We have real obstacles. We have other people. But the final one, yourself. Once you've recognized the obstacle and once you've busted through the bullies, you must overcome yourself. Here's a big idea, friend. Don't allow you to defeat you. I don't want it to be said at the end of my life that I talked myself out of dreams, that I talked myself out of new opportunities and new horizons. I don't want it to be said that I was my biggest enemy and I kept me from experiencing more. But I have learned this. If you can get over you, there's nothing that can stop you. I want you to get over you today. I want you to do whatever it is you got to do to get over you. Because when you get over you, there's nothing that can stop you. You get over you, fear can't stop you. You get over you, lack can't stop you. You get over you, people can't stop you. You get over you, obstacles can't stop you. When you get over you, there is nothing that is possible to him who believes. Do you believe? Do you believe in what God's called you to do? Do you believe in what God put you on this earth to accomplish? Do you believe in the dreams and the visions that God has put on the inside of your heart? It's time for you to cross over. Think of the moment we're in as a church. As we prepare for more, the more requires change. But I don't want to talk myself out of moments like this. I don't want to look back on my life and say, what if I would have? What if I would have taken God at his word? What if I would have believed? What if I would have risked it? What if I would have taken the chance? No, friend, I want to be able to look back and say, I stepped into it. And I looked at God and I didn't tell God, keep the change. I said, God, I want my change. Because there's promotion in my change. And there's victory in my change. And there's a future and there's favor in my change. God, I want my change. These are miracle moments. What's happening in this house is coming to your home. Citygate's preparing for more because your home is preparing for more. Your marriage, your dreams, your business, your finances. Get ready. There's more on the way. You just have to be willing to say, God, I want my change.